Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to the NOSA group. Thank you guys. I'm so excited to be back here and talk a little bit about getting started. So, that's a common question that a lot of people have in the process. So, I already did one video, part one, where I talked about the most frequently asked questions and went into a little bit in depth of what that means in the process of getting started. So, I'm back and I'm here for part two of getting started. So I'm going to do 5 more questions and then we'll do a part 3 of the final let's get it started. So thank you guys. I hope everybody is doing well. As I have had to say, this first of 2022 is coming in hard and fast, but I'm not too mad about it. So, all right. So let's get started with the questions. Just to do a little bit of a recap, last time, some of the questions that we had for the process of getting started included how do I start my business, or how do I register my business with the state? We talked about your EIN numbers, things like that that you need. We also touched a little bit on your professional and general liability insurance, which is something that you will need in order to start your agency, along with workers' compensation. And we touched a little bit on kind of the difference, as there are some states that don't require workers' comp. And then we also talked about like the cost or the price of getting started. So something that I did want to add to that is around the fact that there are costs with starting the business, and then there are costs with running the business internally. And what I mean by that is that once your business is started, you still have to pay costs like payroll taxes and business taxes, unemployment taxes. You still have to consider any sort of operational systems that you may be using, like a Microsoft Office or a G Suite or any sort of system. If you're using QuickBooks or any sort of scheduling app like Connect Team. So those are all additional costs to just operating the business. So those are 2 things that you really want to take into consideration when you're getting started. So let's get started now, guys, with question number 6. How do you balance business and personal? So this is a good question in general, just because in any business, it's not something that's specific to healthcare staffing, but in any business, juggling life and what it brings can be very challenging when you're starting a business. One of the things that I encourage people to do is kind of do like an evaluation, or as we call it, an assessment in nursing, and really determine where you might need help. Think about areas where you need to improve so that you can become a little bit more organized in the process. So for some of us in getting started, we also worked, right? So for some of us, myself included, I was a night shift nurse for probably half of my career, and then I was a weekend night nurse, and then of course I did some day shifts when I was doing agency work. But for the most part, you really have to think about, like, is there an opportunity for me to change my schedule, right? So as nurses, most of us have the flexibility in our industry to work nights or weekends. So that really frees up a lot of time to make phone calls and have conversations with people and clients and things of that nature. So that's something that you really want to consider prior to getting started. The other thing is kind of giving yourself like a reasonable timeline. Like, how long is it going to take you to start your business? Having unrealistic expectations, which I think I went over in the last video or so, can really hold you back. So if it took me maybe 6 months, right? It may or may not take you that same time frame. So you really want to think about that. Evaluating the things that you can do, evaluating the things that you're easily can do, whether it's that you're a super networking queen or a king, if you're somebody who's good at accounting or numbers, if you're a person that's great at technology, looking at those things. So really doing like a self-individual assessment is important, so that you know, hey, this is where I have my strength, this is where I have my weakness, these are opportunities where I can either improve or bring on a product or service to help me. And these are threats, meaning things that can be detrimental to my business, which is essentially what we refer to as a SWOT analysis. So you want to do it for your business, and you want to do it for you as an individual. All right, next question. Number 7. So, how do I get my first client? So, this question comes up a lot, and a lot of people there's a lot of different ways to do it. It's not one way fits all. But the 3 things that I know that work no matter what are being persistent, meaning making the calls. If that means, hey, I work 7 p to 7 a. When I get home at 8 a.m., from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I'm making 50 cold calls or I'm sending 50 emails. So the level of commitment is really key in kind of the difference between getting a client, getting closer to the client, and struggling over long periods of time. So being persistent, being persuasive, understanding when you've created your business plan, you've touched on, hey, what's in it for them? Why should they choose your agency? What makes you different? You've done enough research to understand where they're struggling beyond just staffing. So you want to dig a little bit deeper to kind of see if there's other things going on. Are they going to get acquired? Have they recently been acquired? Has there been changes in management? And sometimes that takes time, and then sometimes it's not something that you'll ever know, but it's something that you really want to find out because that's what you want to use as conversation starters and add-ins when you're selling your agency. Creating a plan and following up. So if you put it out there, you get started, you have the momentum, just like we all do in January, and then something happens and you put it to the backside, then you're kind of hurting yourself in getting to your ultimate goal, whatever that goal was. If you're saying, hey, Shmi, I want to get a contract in 30 days. Is it doable? Of course it is. Do most people do that? It depends. But the people that do it are the people that are consistent, committed, and making it happen. What are some other ways besides your traditional direct clients to get contracts? Vendor management systems. There's so many videos on it. It's something that's used in other industries. And I'm going to say, I don't think it's fairly new to healthcare staffing. It's just something that most people who work, any employees in healthcare staffing, just don't know about. Thankfully, the industry has gotten to be a lot more transparent from a nurse and even from a NOSA standpoint of view, so that more information is out there about what it is and how it impacts the industry. So connecting with them, there's a lot of them out there. A lot of healthcare systems use them, especially your larger healthcare systems. So it's worth looking into, and I'll share a couple of them here in the comments below. The other thing is not being willing to figure it out on your own. So a big part of getting your first client is that, yes, I can give you a script. I can tell you what to do. I can even tell you what to say or be on the call with you. But figuring it out, creating your own style that's unique to you is really what sets you apart and does the ultimate sell. So, of course, I can give you scripts and I can tell you what to say or what not to say or what to tweak or what not to tweak. But you kind of practicing it and creating it in your own way, in your own words, in your own verbiage, in the way that you would communicate it with the enthusiasm that you have for your own staffing agency matters a whole lot more. Okay. All right. Next question. Number 8. How important is the business relationship? And then this question, we're mostly really touching on your business to business relationships more than anything. So there's always that relationship you have with your client. You want to be fair and practical and maintain, business etiquette and make sure that you're being open and flexible. But there also is the business to business relationship that you have with vendors and service providers that kind of help your business run. Some of the things we touched on before. So you want to make sure, again, to make sure that you're maintaining your professionalism, but you also want to look into opportunities where you might be able to collaborate with those businesses to share the product or service. Sometimes referrals are great resources. So that's opportunities for you to work with that business and build an even more in-depth relationship. So that's something we did as NOSAs. I've done as a NOSA solo, and it's really allowed me to catapult my business, and especially the consulting side, to the next level, because it really allows people to kind of see, hey, what she's doing adds value. She has this community. Connecting with that community will help us. And then for my community, bringing resources and products that help small business owners helps them. And then, of course, you always have the concept that we always hear, and that healthcare, much like many other industries, is small. The traveler piece of healthcare staffing is even smaller. Therapy and pharmacy is even smaller. Lab techs, ultrasound techs, those communities are even smaller. So your reputation as a business owner follows you, good or bad. Question number 9. We're almost finished up. I'm moving so fast, guys. How do you create passive income? So this question, these 30 days of questions happened in 2018. And I talked a lot about passive income. So some of this has changed a little bit, but it's still applicable. And it's also applicable in that many people who come into healthcare staffing or become NOSAs have started here first. So these are just some other streams of income that you can do. I would definitely add to this list, and I'll add a few other things to this list, and maybe tweak it. I'll probably do a separate video on it based on easiest to most complicated, because I didn't add that here. But some other multiple streams of income that you may look into, or that many times NOSAs start out doing, include home health care. So a lot of NOSAs are former home health care agency owners, or also own a home health care agency as well. Quite a few of them are also CNA school owners and or instructors, CPR instructors or CPR school owners. And those are all great businesses because they really complement healthcare staffing. Especially if your business has been successful, especially on the home care side of seeing the CNA, even the CPR side of things. Those are things that you can add to your business that'll add value. Also talk about Medicare waiver programs. What's been fairly popular as of now includes your CLIA labs, spas, med spas. What's another one? So those, and like I said, I'll do a separate video that'll kind of talk about it from easiest to hardest to create and obtain and make profitable, if it's something that you're interested in. So I also have on here scrub uniform distributors. So those are all some ideas of things that you can do that'll create another income stream for your business until it kind of gets off the ground. So it's also great compliments to your business. As we know, CPR is something, your employees will need every year. That's not going to change. CNAs, being a CNA instructor or even having a CNA school is a great pipeline for getting future staff. And then, of course, home health opportunity to keep your staff working. So those are all great ideas. So next question, and we're almost at the end of our questions, is budgeting. So how do you budget? I put budget. The money will come and go if you don't plan ahead. And it's so funny that I posted that. This was several years ago that I did the initial post, because in our Facebook group, there was a question about it. And one of the members had responded, and I totally agree that she had run through her payroll in like the first month, like a $10,000 payroll. And I think part of that happening was around the concept of people don't understand how much money this industry makes. Like, this is a billion, maybe trillion, we'll see what the numbers look like, dollar business. And you can easily run out of your payroll. What I tell people is you kind of have to plan based on where you are. You should definitely look into getting assistance, whether it be through grants or loans or other types of means, investors, if that's something you're doing, or partners. You can always look into payroll funding. So there's a lot of financial options, but you want to explore and research kind of where you are. And if you use other people's money, whether it be through funding or investing or something like that, you still want to always have your own monies, because as we're seeing now, sometimes it doesn't work. What if the money doesn't go through? What if the money doesn't get deposited? So you want to always have access to money for your business if you have to run a payroll. So what I tell people, or I've shared with people, is you want to have at least a 3-month supply of money for your business to run a payroll for a week or two if you needed to. But be mindful that, you do have other options. A lot of states are offering lots of good grants and monies and low cost loans or no interest loans for small businesses. So those are always great places to start. And then the last question, which is perfect timing, guys, is accountability. Who holds you accountable? So I have been having an accountability partner forever, but more recently been a lot more intentional about who that person is and what they bring to the table. I encourage people to think about what you want to accomplish and people that you surround yourself around. Because if the people that you surround yourself around aren't in that same lane, they may not be the best people in helping you accomplish that goal or holding you accountable in doing so. So I say, once you've done everything to get ready, you got your first client, you created your system for yourself, now you have to implement all the things that you've just learned, tried or been trained on. So accountability partner, be clear about what you're trying to accomplish, but also be clear about the qualities that you want that person to have. So I, of course, and I encourage you guys as well, always want an accountability partner that we have some similarness, but I don't want to have an accountability partner that's just like me. I want someone that has strength in the area that I'm weak, which of course will be technology, or if it was public speaking, or if it was organization, or if it was time management. So that person would be really good at those things, so that I too can absorb those things into what it is that I'm doing and then work closely towards my ultimate goal. And I also tell people, you don't have to just have one person. I do just have a partner, but you can also have a group. So if it's a group of you all, whether it's a group working together in business or it's a group, with a common interest, the person doesn't have to live in the same state. My accountability partners, ironically, have never lived in my state, but what we did do? We got on the phone every week and kind of set the goal, the intention, and move towards those things. It can be more than one person. But the main thing is setting the expectations, having the conversation, and picking someone who can allow you to be the best version of yourself and help you improve on the areas that you're having challenges in. So that's all I have for you guys tonight. Thanks for hanging out. So I'll be back next Tuesday for part 3 of our frequently asked questions, what to do when you're trying to get started. And if you guys have questions that I haven't answered, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Like I said, I'll save this or share this with you guys once we've completed it in part 3. I'll see you guys again on next Wednesday. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week, and I'll be chatting with you.